Hey everybody, my name is Don Wetrick. I'm a 21-year educator, and I'm glad that you're joining us for this innovation mindset course. We all have been brought here by unusual circumstances, and that is we've had like a time to be able to have courses like this. And I say that for a reason, to start off with a positive. Number one, a lot of people are without school or they're quarantined and you have time on your hands. So seeing that problem as an opportunity is exactly what this class is. Before I say any more though, there's a difference between finding an opportunity and being opportunistic. Buying a lot of toilet paper and reselling it is being opportunistic. It kind of makes you a jerk, a little bit. Having an opportunity is to see people's needs and to figure out what you can do to help solve that. So wanted to clarify that. The other thing is that with every module we have, I have brought on somebody terrific that is going to further drive home the point. Like up first is going to be JT McCormick. He is a friend of mine, more on him later. The other thing that I want to do is that as you take these courses, I'm wanting some interactivity. First of all, you are more than welcome just to watch the video and do nothing else. That's awesome. You can do that. But we're really wanting to put a premium on the LinkedIn closed group because there's a lot of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds out there that are already doing amazing things. You just may not know one another. As a matter of fact, I know some of the early adopters that are already in the community now have already done some amazing things in the fields of innovation, entrepreneurialism. And I want this kind of landing zone to be for you so you can get to know one another. Matter of fact, hopefully we'll even be sharing your stories and not just necessarily from people that are adults. Okay, so the first thing I want to get into is understanding your purpose, your why. I highly recommend watching Simon Sinek's TED Talk or any of his work, but your why is kind of your calling, your mission. And actually we're going to talk about this with JT McCormick, but when I a lot of times ask people what they're passionate about, they usually talk about somebody else's work. Your favorite sports team or your favorite band, or I can't wait for the new Netflix series to come out with. That's not your why. That is not your passion. That is somebody else's passion. Don't get me wrong, you can enjoy things on Netflix if you want, but what are you currently wanting to do? What difference do you want to make in the world? And oftentimes I see a lot of people not have it. This kind of disturbs me because we always like watching people's hero's journey. It's the reason why we watch sports. It's the reason why we like somebody starting from here and then going to there and launching their music career or acting career or sports career or whatever, because somebody's on a mission. They're on a journey. What mission or journey are you on? And secondly, this is part of that entrepreneurial way of being we talk about. We don't believe that everybody should be an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneurial way of being is saying, okay, what mission do I have? What purpose do I have? And what am I going to do about it? Solving small problems is an entrepreneurial way of being. So whether you think your neighborhood needs a new fill in the blank, or you think that your school could really use a fill in the blank, is an entrepreneurial way of being. So we want to focus on that. But lastly, the mindset of an entrepreneur also doesn't believe in giving excuses. You're either going to be building towards something bigger, or you're going to be building a team. And along the way and along this course, we're going to be talking about building teams. We're going to be talking about how to understand your weaknesses and build those towards strengths. But to kick off this section, I definitely wanted to start focusing in on and challenging you to understand what is your passion? What is your why? And this is one thing that I really like to ask my students that I'd like for you to consider. I want you to visualize right now, you are allowed to, and if you're under 18, this is kind of against the law, but let's just say that you go down to the gas station and you are allowed to get a scratch-off ticket. And even though you may be under 18, they still sell you a scratch-off ticket anyway. And it is worth $2 million, which really after taxes is $1 million. So what would you do with that $1 million? Now let me eliminate some things for you. A lot of people say, oh, I would buy a big house. Well, $1 million is not enough, especially in certain parts of the country. It's not enough for you to take, like you can't retire off that. But you can do something for the next 3, 4, or 5 years and not have to worry about it. So a lot of times people will say, oh, I would travel. Well, you're going to be jet lagged and tired after a month, right? Or some people would say, oh, I would just lay on the beach and drink Mai Tais or whatever. And like, you're going to be bored and sunburnt after a week. A lot of people are like, that's true. And besides the fact that, like, if you won $1 million, you could get a house and afford to pay taxes on it for a while, or get a fancy car and drive it around, I suppose. At some point, you're going to have to do something. But again, taking away that for the next 3 or 4 years, money isn't an issue. What would you want to do? What would you feel happy in getting up in the morning and saying, I don't have to worry about an income, but I do want to find my purpose? So visualize that in your head. What would you want to do? What would you want to bring value to? Whether that's helping people, helping dogs, whether that's you collecting art, doing art, filming, whatever. If money wasn't an issue over the next 2 to 3 years, what would you do? Okay, so we're going to turn it over to JT McCormick next. But before we do, here's your assignment, especially after hearing JT. Number 1, list 3 things that you really love, that you're really passionate about. And even if it's not something you specifically do yet, list 3 things down. And in those 3 things, how could you bring value to them? Now, if it's something you already do, you're already bringing value to it. But also then start to understand where your strengths are. What are you good at? Now, if you're starting to think, I'm not good at anything that I'm passionate about, this is maybe a wake-up call, but don't freak out yet. Maybe ask your parents or maybe ask a friend, like, when you think of me, what do you think that I'm good at? And if you can start just for right now, considering what you love and what you're passionate about and pairing it up to what you are already maybe good at or the skills you already currently possess, how do those 2 combine? I want you to give that some thought. Now, again, if you're taking this on our playlist and you don't have anything, hey, just, I guess, jot these things down. This is also why we're really encouraging some interactivity on our LinkedIn group. If you want to answer some of these things in LinkedIn, we would love to hear from you. And really, if you want to jot us a DM on LinkedIn, you can do that as well if you're not within the group, or if you just don't feel comfortable without it. All right, so that's the assignment. Now we're going to turn it over to JT McCormick. He has an upbringing, he has a mindset like none other. He is among the more successful people I know, but his work ethic is unparalleled. I have not met somebody that outworks him. Let his words of wisdom wash upon you. He actually gets at the very end to his upbringing. I don't know of many people that had it more difficult, but I really am happy to bring you JT's story and his mindset. Enjoy, and we'll see you on Module 2. All right, so now I'm joined with JT McCormick. JT, thank you for doing this. This is an important thing to me, and you are guest number 1 on this lineup for the simple reason we just got done talking about really purpose, passion, but the mindset of an innovative entrepreneur, right? That you have to be able to see problems as opportunities. Your life and your work is littered with perspective and seeing just that. So give me a little bit of a background on not only you, but your famous thing of I was the CEO of a software company, didn't know anything about software, and now you're not exactly a good writer and with Scribe. So go ahead and give us some of that.
So what you want to know? I started off as the lowest paid person at a software company. I used to make my calls on a fold out metal chair in a storage closet. And over the course of time, in 2 years, I became the president of the software company. We ended up growing that company to, from 13 people to over 100 people, and offices in Austin, Houston, Dallas, and Monterrey, Mexico. And what's interesting is I don't write code. So I was the president of a software company. I don't write code. Now I am the president and CEO of a publishing company. And as you well know, Don, I can't tell you an adverb from an adjective, and I damn sure can't spell. So it's thank God for the man or woman that created spell check, because they have been so influential in my career. But I've always said to people that there's a product and service. Don't put me in the room and tell me to think of 0 to 1, but I can tell you how to go from 1 to a billion. And so that's my skill set, is growth, scale, business. It's not coming up with the 0 to 1. I personally believe you've got so many great ideas, great products and services out there that never see the light of day, because there are so many people who don't know how to scale the company to make that product or service see the light of day.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you've been known for. And actually, we are talking about this before we started recording, in the sense that, sometimes pride and ego gets in the way. You think that you have a great idea, and then you may not know how to build something. Um, Going back to the theme of this, like those problems being opportunities, is something that we really wanted to address, because here we are, we're in the midst of a new pandemic, and people are justifiably worried, but seeing opportunities in everything. And really, there's a difference and you can weigh in on being opportunistic versus seeing an opportunity. But that mindset to, first of all, see something like when everybody else is yapping and saying the sky is falling. And again, not saying that there's some bad in the world, but knowing where the opportunities are, that mindset, how does one capture that when they've never really thought that way?
I would say this, Don, sit back and ask yourself, do you, especially because this what we're talking about is innovation. We're talking about people who want to do something different. So if you truly want to do something different, most likely you're going to have to do something different. And what I mean by that is, if you're going right now, it's stay at home, no one's going out, everyone's doing the social distancing thing. Okay, you've got two options right now. You can sit and watch a bunch of worthless videos on YouTube. You can sit and binge watch and not get anything for that. Or you can sit and study the markets on YouTube. You can sit and understand how the markets work. Because right now, if we're talking about opportunity and being opportunistic, right now the markets are down. But if you look at the history of the stock market, it always comes back. So right now, if you want to learn something, immerse yourself into learning about the stock market. And I'm using that one because it's a very easy one to go with. I don't have to sit back and say, okay, what's going to be the next yacht that's going to be on the ocean? What's going to be the next AI thing that's going to come up? There is something right in front of you that is very simple, and all the information you could ever ask for is right there for you on YouTube. The market is down. The market always comes back. So right now you have the opportunity to learn and teach yourself the stock market.
Yeah, I remember when you came in and talked to my students, you even had you broke it down that, you've done well, but if you took everything away, you would rise to the top quickly by, say, eagerness, willingness to learn, leaning in. Like, I see this in the same thing you're talking about, seeing problems as opportunities. Let's be honest with each other. If a student right now is taking this course, they're already kind of separating themselves out in the sense that they're self-quarantined, or they have extra time on their hands and they're willing to learn more.
Right.
Tell me about, like, you and your rise to learning and then growing. What made you stand apart?
But belief, Don, you've heard me say this a million and one times. There's so you asked for it, Don. I eliminated 3 words from my vocabulary a long time ago. Hope, wish, and luck. I will not use those words, and I'll be very quick on diving into them. If you believe in something, then you have to execute on your belief. And I'll give you a great example of this. A friend of mine's a pastor, and he and I were talking, and he said, JT, I heard you say that you won't use the word hope. And I said, no, I won't. And he goes, JT, I used hope in my sermon last Sunday 16 times alone. And I said to him, I said, okay, let me make this real simple for you. Do you want me to hope there's a God, or do you want me to believe there's a God? And he looks at me, and keep in mind, he's a pastor. He looks at me and he goes, damn. and you know, he said, I never thought of it that way. And I told him, I said, look, if you truly believe there's a God, then you have to live a godly life. And I said, belief forces execution. If you believe you can have that house, then you've got to execute on what it's going to take to have that house. And so I eliminated hope a long time ago. You know, I would hope my dad would come pick me up. He never showed up. I would hope there was something to eat in the refrigerator. Didn't produce anything. And then you heard me say I eliminated the word wish also. I'm so passionate about this one, Don. You can wish all day. It's not producing anything. You know, I wish I had the big house. I wish I had the car. I wish I had the job, whatever. I'm so passionate about this one, Don. You know, I've got 4 kids. When we have birthday parties and it's time to blow out the candles on the cake, we don't wish at the McCormick house. We make a goal. That's what you
say. Set a goal.
Yes.
Awesome.
You don't make a wish. And so because wishing doesn't produce anything. And then the last one, luck doesn't produce anything either. You know, if the $100 million lottery winner, people want to say he or she was lucky. No, they bought a ticket. They executed and they bought a ticket. So for me, I'm big on execution. You've got to do something. You've got to initiate, take action. And you've got to make sure that when you are initiating and taking action, it's in the right direction. You know, you can't sit there and go to the bar Thursday through Sunday and then wake up Monday pissed off at your life because you're not accomplishing your goals. You can't binge watch Friday through Sunday and then be pissed off on Sunday because you're not, achieving your goals. Set your goals in place. Figure out what it is that you want to achieve, what you want to do, what opportunities that you see that are available, and then execute on those opportunities.
So tell me about your routine then. Because look, this is where sometimes I slip, and this is where a lot of people go from that. Okay, this time it's for real. They write the goals down. They get an inspirational poster. Just hang in there, baby. Whatever it is, and they might even hire somebody to help out with that. And again, right now, a lot of our audience is in that 16, 17, 18-year-old category. What habits then are you trying to instill? Because I love the fact that you're like, these things demand execution. And a lot of times execution is in habits. Because if you habitually, like you're saying you're not going to binge watch, okay, then what is the habit that replaces that kind of thing?
And here's the thing, you can binge watch. Just make sure you're binge watching the things that are going to advance you forward towards the goals that you want. Binge away. Here's the damnedest thing, Don. When is the last time you've ever heard someone wake up on Monday morning, come into the office or call their friend, whatever, and say, hey, I've been studied my 401k or my retirement plan all weekend? No one says that.
Yes.
And so it's all about what are you executing on. You can't sit there and say, oh, I'm going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg one day. I'm not personally a big fan of Mark Zuckerberg, but I do respect what he did. That kid was initiating on his goal damn near 24/7. He wasn't even going to class, not that I recommend not going to class, but He went all in on his goal of what he wanted to achieve. Same with Bill Gates. Same with almost every person that you see as successful. They became obsessed and consumed with what they wanted to achieve. And I'll give you a great, for me, you asked me how I do this, Don. What are your 5 pillars? For me, it's God, health, family, business, and investing. If it falls outside of those 5 pillars, I don't do it. I love to play golf, but golf takes 4.5 hours to play a round. I'd rather have that 4.5 hours with my children. I'd rather have that 4.5 hours to study business and investing. So I don't do it. Here's the other thing. I'm pretty confident I've made enough money to afford ESPN on my DirecTV subscription. I don't have ESPN because unless Tom Brady is going to send me part of his $25 million contract, I don't care. So I'm looking for what is going to advance me towards my goals and how do I initiate those. And then the last piece, Don, a great example of this, you know this, when I went broke and I lost all my money, I had over $1 million and I lost it all. And I was in that apartment by myself, broke, negative broke. I had to borrow money from my stepdad and my best friend to pay my rent. I went 5 years without buying anything new. No new underwear, no new socks, no new t-shirts, nothing. Every dime, every penny, if I found a penny on the ground, I picked it up. Every dime went into the stock market, because that's what I knew. Okay, if I can invest, I can get back onto the top. So I became consumed with studying the market, studying business, balance sheets. Here's the crazy thing. All publicly traded companies, Uber, 3M, Chase Bank, Google, Apple, all of those companies, all of their financials are public record. You can go online and find all of their information. So this is not a secret society. Anyone can find this information out about these companies. Do you want to take the time to go in and execute and initiate whatever your dream or goal is?
I love that. This one time I took like an unscientific poll. I think I even wrote this in my book. About 90% of the people I polled, what are you passionate about? It was somebody else's goal and dream.
Oh, wow.
What are you passionate about? Oh, man, I love the Patriots. Man, I'm a big fan of Baby Yoda. Or I can't wait for the next album too. Not your goal, not your dream, not your work. Very few people, and I'm asking, like, what are you passionate about? Very few people. And maybe I miss, I wasn't trying to shepherd them to one answer or another, but they were almost all entertainment based.
Yeah.
And I thought, is it a distraction that you're looking for? Like every now and then I'd get my family, which I valued, but that also wasn't necessarily a goal either. Because like when I think about something you're passionate about, you're working towards something. Now, again, like you said, technically, if you asked me, if you said, what are you passionate about? I probably would answer my family. But it just concerned me that everybody was passionate about someone else's blood, sweat, and tears. I had the same reaction as you. Is sometimes I'll be in the car and sports talk radio will be on, and I could tell somebody has spent hours breaking down the Colts 4-3 defense. And I'm wondering whether they're planning for their future. I'm wondering whether they're developing a skill. Right now, technically, as I release this course, people have a lot of time on their hands. I'm hoping that people will develop a skill. I'm excited because my children are forced to. Anna just picked up the guitar, and she should be a pretty good guitarist by this little thing. Ava has, been producing and writing, and then Grant has now been doing some YouTube videos. That mindset of there's opportunities in the midst of bad things. Right now, you have to be quarantined. The only thing you have is time. Do something with it. Do something with it.
That's the biggest thing, man. And what is it that you want to do? And I've been criticized on this too, Don. So many people have said, well, JT, a lot of people will watch YouTube videos or social media as a way to release. I call, I don't know if I can say this on here, so beat me. I call bullshit on that. If you want to release, go to the gym, go for a walk, go. You don't need to sit there and consume YouTube videos and then try to convince me that it's a way to release. And here's the thing, I'll say this to anyone. If you want to binge watch, if you want to consume nothing but YouTube videos, great. I'm not critiquing you. Just don't wake up on Monday and bitch about it because you haven't achieved what you want to do in life.
Right.
That's my only argument with it. If you don't want to, if you don't have a goal, you just like your 9 to 5 and that's what you want to do, God bless you. Do your thing.
Yeah.
But do not wake up on Monday and complain that you don't like where you are in life and you're doing nothing to change your path.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm same way. The person that is motivated and working towards something, and by the way, this is also the happiness advantage. Like I always just, people that have a lot of drama-filled lives, they watch programming of people that have drama, people that are arguing with one another, people that are getting catty and having these reality TV show awfulness. And I mean, maybe I'm passing judgment here, but I'm like, wait, you already have some of the stuff in your life and you're watching other people. Like, set a goal, because I'm telling you, this is the peace and the calm that I have found is, and Simon Sinek talks a little bit about this, is that we both have just causes, right? Your company wants to get people's stories out into the world. I'm trying to get students to find their opportunities and seize on them, whether that's through entrepreneurialism or just finding something that they're passionate about and they want to work towards something. If you are watching people succeed, it makes you feel worse. If you're the person on that journey, write your own book, essentially. Act out the movie that you would want to see. If you are watching a hero trying to tackle some of the world's problems, you should be that.
Check this out, Don. Oh man, Don, you got me sparked. All right. So when you said reality, you got the Real Housewives of this, you got the Kardashians, you got 1,000,001 different reality shows. And I was saying this to my wife one day. I said, I actually, because you hear people say, see, that's what's wrong with society. Look at that garbage on TV. Look at the trash. And I said to my wife, I go, I actually don't blame the Real Housewives of Orange County. I don't blame the Kardashians. They have figured out a way to make money. Who I blame are the people who are watching it. I go, that's the problem. If you don't watch it, it won't be on. So it just lets you know how many people are actually sitting down and watching it, because some of those shows have been on for years. So it just bothers me that people will make excuses on why they're not successful or why they're not initiating on their goals. And Don, I'll give you this one too. I read this factual piece of information. The average person spends 53 minutes a day on Facebook. 53 minutes. Do you know what I can accomplish with 53 minutes a day over 365 days a year? And I mean, that's a class. I'm pretty sure back when you were teaching high school, 53 minutes, that's got to be a class time, So I look at that, and then here's the last one. When you really want to think about maximizing your time, and people can laugh at me, they can call me old, this is fine, but I don't care if you just checked into the gym. I don't care if you just checked into Whole Foods. Why do you have to share that on social media? No one cares. And then here's the big one. All of you people out there that are going to dinner and taking a picture of your food, and we know how this goes. You never get the first picture correct. So you got to take 2 or 3 pictures of your food. Then you upload it to whatever platform you're on. Then you set your phone down. Okay, great. Inevitably, what happens 2 minutes later? You got to pick up your phone and look at it, because you got to see, oh, did I get a like? Did I get a heart? God forbid you got a comment. Now you got to respond back to the comment. Before you know it, you've not even enjoyed your time with the person you're with. You've not enjoyed your meal. For what? At the end of the day, no one cares. Someone gave you a heart about your food. What does it do for you to progress you forward towards your dreams and goals? Nothing.
Sermon over. This is why I had you on video one, man. I like to wrap up. I'll speak for him. JT did not have much growing up. He took something from nothing and does not believe in people's excuses of, coulda, shoulda, woulda. And obviously, as we was talking about with the hope and beliefs and, I'm gonna and wishing, there is just due with this guy. And so I'm pleased that you wanted to kick off this video as we go down the list of things that we're going to look at and accomplish. Reach out to some of these people, follow some of their work. JT's got a book out. Matter of fact, you can tell everybody where they can find you should you have time to want to engage.
If you ever want to find me, every Tuesday, I post my mistakes. I post my successes, lessons learned. I will post them on LinkedIn every Tuesday. Mostly it's filled with mistakes and lessons learned. Yeah, I've had a few successes, but we live in a society where everybody says we learn the most from our mistakes. Well, then why the hell aren't more people posting their mistakes? Yeah. If that's what we learn from. So, I don't want to read 5 things Jeff Bezos did to be successful, 10 things Steve Jobs did. No, give me their mistake list. So I do my best to share my mistakes. And then Don, I'll wrap up with this. Here's my last thing. When your audience or whoever's going to listen to this, I ask that you keep things in perspective at the end of the day. And what I mean by that is, as Don said, yeah, my father was a pimp and drug dealer. My father had 23 children. My mother was an orphan. And to this day, I still don't know where my last name comes from. But I always keep things in perspective. And I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, left, right, independent, doesn't matter. Right now, there's a single mom of 2 walking 1,100 miles from Honduras to try to get into this country to create an opportunity for herself and her children. And even if she gets into this country, the only thing she receives is, great, you got into the country. You still need to find a job. You don't speak the language. You need to find shelter, and you've got to feed your children. That's all she gets if she gets into this country, but she's willing to put it all on the line and walk 1,100 miles to try to get into this country. And then from the other side, there is a family of 5, a mom, dad, 3 kids in Syria, standing on the banks of the Mediterranean Sea, debating if they're going to get on this blow-up raft when they know 50% of the people who have tried it have never made it across, and they drown and die in the Mediterranean Sea. And they're not even fleeing for opportunity. They're fleeing for their lives. On my worst day of being sexually molested by my dad's prostitutes, on my worst day of being in and out of juvenile for 3 different times, I've never had to face those challenges. I was born in this country. I have a responsibility to be successful, and I'll be damned if I ever make an excuse on why I can't be successful in this country.
Mindset. Appreciate it, man. I got there. This is his book. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on. And yeah, by the way, we have this closed group on LinkedIn. So a lot of the students that can take this, they can take it just as is, but we're asking a lot of the students if they want to have some conversations to jump in LinkedIn. So find JT on LinkedIn. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Don, I appreciate it, man. Take care.